Welcome back. This is a non-stop rolling coverage of the all-important case of who really takes the symbol of the Shiv Sena, the bow and arrow that now has reached the Supreme Court. Do remember earlier the Election Commission in its ruling has made it very clear that there is just one Shiv Sena that is led by Eknath Shinde. Now, the Uddhav Thackeray faction has appealed against that ruling of the Election Commission in the Supreme Court. The hearing is underway as we speak. Swapnil continues to stay with us, and also our colleague Alisha, who's tracking minute-by-minute updates that are coming in from the Supreme Court. And before I go to Swapnil, to understand the larger contours of that big debate that possibly could be settled by the Supreme Court shortly, Alisha, to you first. What is the update coming in from the court? You earlier did tell us the hearing has begun. What are the kind of arguments today being made?
Well, yes, the court has already been hearing the application that has been filed by Uddhav Thackeray, but here is Eknath Shinde, which is the real Shiv Sena, with the recognition that has been given by ECI, that now the Eknath Shinde camp has been questioning over the maintainability. Because what we have been seeing that Neeraj Kaul, who is a senior advocate representing Eknath Shinde's faction, it has been saying that why they have come directly to Supreme Court when similar question is pending in the High Court. Why are they are not availing the remedy available at the High Court? There is a direct question on maintainability on the plea filed by Uddhav Thackeray. So Eknath Shinde's faction has been clearly, the legal team has been putting a point before the Supreme Court, clearly mentioning the same point is being pending with the High Court. They should have waited for this High Court to hear the matter, but it is the same question that is being pending. But why they need to come directly to the Supreme Court is what the points that is being made by Advocate Neeraj Kaul. But here is the Sibal, who has also been making some points before the Supreme Court. Kapil Sibal, who has been representing Uddhav Thackeray's faction, who says that EC says that your constitution is not on record. I have grave concern over this finding of Election Commission. They take majority test in legislative wing. Now Kapil Sibal is reading ECI order in court.
Okay, you know, Alisha, there is more insight. I just want to quickly read through this, and we'll then take it to Swapnil, who will help us understand what is the larger argument being made here by Advocate Kapil Sibal. And like Alisha first underscored, the senior advocate N.K. Kaul actually has raised the issue of maintainability. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, that 136 power is discretionary in nature. They earlier went to the High Court twice on questions of the oral hearing not given. Then he goes on to say that today no stay has been interpreted to mean that the Election Commission of India could go ahead to come to the Supreme Court directly. Your lordships have time and again said that there is a judicial hierarchy. To which now senior advocate Kapil Sibal has said that the basis of the Election Commission of India order, Swapnil, is that in the test of majority, the organizational wing will not be taken. Then he goes on to cite that they, as in the Shinde faction, has 40, and that's how the symbol is being given to them. Then he goes on to say, within the Rajya Sabha, we, as in the Uddhav Thackeray faction, has majority, but because of these 40, they got the symbol, and he is asking the court that what will the High Court do in this? Because that's the question before the court, Swapnil. So what is the gist of the arguments, Swapnil, that we've heard so far?
Well, I think what Mr. Neeraj Kaul is trying to say is that the maintainability plea, in the sense that if there is a judicial hierarchy, that you could have approached the High Court for this from the Election Commission's order. Why did you come directly to the Supreme Court? And time and again, the Supreme Court has said that High Courts are very well equipped and very well empowered, jurisdiction-wise as well, to deal with situations of this nature. So why come to us directly? That is exactly what Neeraj Kaul is trying to say. Now, to that, Mr. Sibal is saying that, well, if this is a floor test issue, if this was some issue of political majority proving, etc., he's not directly answering the question of Mr. Kaul because he doesn't have an answer. So that's the reason why he's trying to sidestep it by going into the merits of the case and trying to say that the Supreme Court is well equipped to hear it. And there's no doubt that the Supreme Court is well equipped. But the point is that you have to answer as to why the High Court should not be hearing it. And he's not being clear about it because he knows that, well, possibly there is no answer to that. And, the reason why they're coming to the Supreme Court directly is because it's a question of, the state, should I say, governance, constitutional questions, Neelam Rabia judgment is already going to be looked at by a constitution bench. So if that is going to be looked at, why should I not directly approach the Supreme Court? Let's try it out at the Supreme Court first. And if the Supreme Court is literally convinced to that effect, saying that no, sorry, you have to go to the High Court first, then we'll take that in our stride. But nevertheless, we should try to approach the Supreme Court directly so that we try to pass these tiers, the judicial tiers. We try to do that often. And I wouldn't blame Mr. Sibal for doing that. But he's taking a chance. He's taking his shot. It's a long shot.
Okay.
But let's see what happens and what the Supreme Court comes to a conclusion. I believe the technical point will not be argued much, both by Mr. Kaul and Mr. Sibal, because eventually the Supreme Court will have to say after 15, 20, 25 minutes or so that, well, whether we are hearing this before us or whether we are directing the High Court to hear it ASAP. So that is something which the Supreme Court was more likely to say within the next 20, 25 minutes or so, because it cannot keep on hearing somebody for 1.5 hours and they say, oh, by the way, you should have gone to the High Court and please go to the High Court now. Because it's a waste of time for both the sides, including the Supreme Court, which has wasted its judicial time.